your small business is booming and ready to expand, you might say something like,
"It's happening!
Booyah!
Yeah!
Crushed it.
But if you need someone who can actually help protect your growing business, just say,
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And just like that, your State Farm agent can help you get the coverage you need for your new space. For your small business insurance needs, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Deadlines move fast. So should your takeoffs. With Lowe's Blueprint Takeoff, you can turn blueprints into competitive quotes. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting faster and easier. And when you're ready, we'll deliver everything you need straight to the job site. Visit the Pro Desk today to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, SiriusXM Channel 158, any of our great affiliates, the VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV. We appreciate you hanging out with us as we kick off hour 2 of the program, coming at you from coast to coast today. Stormy Buonantony out here in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. JVT getting one last day off this football season, so very fortunate to have Keith Irizarry with us out there on the East Coast. So much to get to this hour, Keith. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to hit Do You Approve This Move? Lots of line movement in the ALCS that we've got coming up tonight, in the NHL with a full slate of games, NFL overnight movement, and more. So we will hit on all of that. We'll also have Gregg Bell join us in a half an hour, covers the Seahawks as well as the Seattle Mariners. So that'll be fun for the ALCS as well as Monday Night Football we have coming up. Seahawks and Texans going head to head as part of the Monday night doubleheader. And then we'll have our best bets at the end of the hour. Where I wanted to kick off this hour, though, was your last statement in Call Me Crazy at the end of hour 1 was about the New York Jets. Think that one win is about the limit for them this season, which is a very sad notion. But with that in mind, who's their starting quarterback going to be the rest of the way? Because Aaron Glenn had this to say yesterday.
Well, that's something that, I want to continue to look at. Again, it's early on Monday, so I said this yesterday that there's a lot of thought that goes into that for me personally, and then being able to get with the staff and then just being able to ask other coaches that have been in the situation, how would they handle that? So I'm not running away from the question at all, Rich. The thing is, I want to make sure that I make the right decision, and I don't want to make rash decisions either.
So forgive me, I said yesterday, but obviously that was the sound from this morning. Your initial reaction to Aaron Glenn's thoughts?
I actually think that he's handling this pretty well. First-time head coach, a relatively young guy getting this opportunity in Aaron Glenn in a massive market in New York, New Jersey, where it's a starved for winning organization. I think it's clear Justin Fields is not the answer. And I like Justin Fields. My mother-in-law went to Ohio State, so I find myself leaning towards Ohio State in a lot of things. I thoroughly enjoy watching Justin Fields, be an NFL player. But I think the book is almost ready to be closed on him, unfortunately. He's had opportunities. It doesn't appear to be working out very well. I don't know if he's ever going to be a legitimate, bona fide starting quarterback in the NFL. Tyrod Taylor, he's fine. He's a backup QB. He's had a really nice NFL career. Stormy, I guess if you're the New York Jets right now, you're trying to figure out, how do I know what players need to be here next year? Because this season's done. You're not getting to the playoffs. None of that's happening, right? So how do I build, and especially with a brand new coach, how do I build an organization, a franchise, a team that can be competitive next year and also know what we need to attack and get in the draft? QB. So how do I figure that out? That's what you're doing right now.
And for Justin Fields, the last 2 weeks now, so against Denver, 9 of 17 for 45 yards, full game. Yesterday against the Carolina Panthers, who, let's remember, defensively, not a great team, okay? And so I think that, adds more insult to injury here with Justin Fields. 6 of 12 for 46 pass yards for him before he was yanked for Tyrod Taylor in the game. And I do want to toot the horn a little bit. A live bet Sunday yesterday, JVT and I were on the air live talking through all of these games in the early window. And we said at halftime of this game, how much longer do you leave Justin Fields in here? Because it's this ugly. And so we suggested betting a live bet under on Fields passing yards, and he didn't even come out in the second half. So that was a nice angle. We had a similar conversation with Tua Tagovailoa and Quinn Ewers. That ended up coming to fruition as well. And maybe that's another quarterback situation we can discuss in a moment. But I think you're right. Aaron Glenn handled that as well as you could in the moment. We'll see what's going to give you the best chance at quarterback to see what you have in these other weapons for you right now, especially with Garrett Wilson unavailable. But 0-for to start the season in Aaron Glenn's tenure. They fired their head coach to make changes a year ago. They've just gotten worse. And now you have what I think is fair to call an embarrassing loss at home, putting up just 6 points to the Carolina Panthers.
Embarrassing is the right word. And, I'll be covering the Jets later this week. So, this will be things that I'm going to have to discuss. And, Stormy, you and I have worked together now a fair amount of times. I'm a really optimistic person. I'm rarely am I very negative. It is hard to find the positives with this Jets team right now. It is a really, really dark time. And it doesn't help, Stormy, that Jackson Dart and Scattaboo and the rest of this New York Giants team is starting to look like a real team. It doesn't help at all.
Do you like taking the 6.5 more or less if it was Tyrod Taylor at Cincinnati coming up next week?
Ooh, that's a good question. Nah, Cincinnati's going to cover that. No matter.
Okay.
Nah,
Flacco, baby.
Cincinnati covers.
He's just dialed apparently, and now it's an amazing thing when you have one of the best, if not the best, wide receivers in the National Football League at your disposal. How good you can be as a passer. Let's go back to the Miami Dolphins. We did have an update here, not on Tua, but on tight end Darren Waller, who is kind of gaining some traction in the comeback player of the year market. The production for everything that's been bad about the Miami Dolphins, it's like, thank goodness you've had Devon Achane and Darren Waller. Waller strained pectoral, not expected to require surgery, but he is considered week to week at this point. We also got an update from the Raiders on Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. Pete Carroll said they both should return Sunday, November 2nd against the Jags after the team's bye week. The Max Crosby injury as well that pushed him out of the game yesterday, reportedly not severe. It was just one of those things where the game was already out of hand. Let's not risk messing it up anymore. But that was a tough look for the Raiders yesterday, too, getting absolutely blown out by a division rival. Pete Carroll came into the season for Vegas saying he's won everywhere. He expects to win right away. That has not been the case for Vegas.
Stormy, you and I were on with each other before the season. I never saw it with the Raiders. I thought maybe they'd be pesky, but I didn't see them as a team that I had to necessarily care about per se. Ashton Genty is showing minor flashes at times, but he looks like a rookie on a bad football team with not much of an offensive line and an aging QB that is aging really quickly in front of our eyes. Yeah, the Raiders, I don't know, man. I'm not in on them. But let's go back to the Dolphins for a second, because I think you said this in the last hour. If you're going to blow everything up in Miami, what is a piece on this team that could actually fetch you something? Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
And there are teams out there that are clamoring for a 1 or a 1A as a wide receiver. Now, if you're the Dolphins, I don't think you Cleveland Browns this and trade Waddle within the district, within your division to the Patriots and or the Bills. You're not going to do that. But there are teams that are a wide receiver away from you feeling more confident about them making a run in the postseason. I think if you're going to blow everything up, you have to at least take some phone calls on Jalen Waddle.
I agree. If you can get some compensation, some of that big draft compensation, you have to. This team is going nowhere fast, and I mentioned it earlier. I really do think wholesale changes are coming. Get the GM out of there, move on from Mike McDaniel. And again, this is something that we say a lot on the program. We're never calling for anyone's job, but in a predictive world that we live in here from a sports betting standpoint, these are the things that we discuss, and that's kind of the angle that we're coming from here. I am interested in that division all of a sudden, though, with the way that the New England Patriots have surged. We talked about how great Drake May was yesterday and how he's kind of come on in his sophomore season in the National Football League. The Buffalo Bills, meanwhile, lost to New England, and Atlanta. They're coming out of their bye week this coming week to face Carolina, so we'll see how that goes. But generally speaking, the Bills have taken a step back recently. The defense has been an issue. Do you think that the Patriots could be a true contender in the AFC East? The Buffalo Bills minus 170, still odds-on favorites in the division, but New England's sitting right there.
I'm surprised to be sitting here telling you this. I do. I think the Patriots are going to win 10 or 11 games. Buffalo's going to win in that area too. Probably the Bills end up winning this division. I think that both of those teams should be calling the New Orleans Saints and trying to see if Chris Olave is available. I know Olave and Kamara apparently neither really want to leave New Orleans, but if I were New England and Buffalo, I'm calling the Saints and seeing what it would take to get Olave, because Olave would be a wide receiver that would change your offense a little bit for both of them. I think ultimately, and maybe this is me being, the prisoner of what I saw going into the season, what I've seen over the last couple of years, I think Buffalo still finds a way to win this division. But yeah, New England's live because their defense is flying around. Drake May is maybe the best young quarterback in the NFL right now. And Dan Orlovsky's one of the guys I really pay a lot of attention to when you break down quarterbacks. And he keeps talking about how nobody throws a better deep ball than Drake May. Diggs is looking good. Booty's looking good. The run game looked pretty good yesterday with Ramondre. New England's a real team.
I am a 33-year-old woman, but I have the brain of a 12-year-old boy. And when you said booty's looking good, I couldn't help but laugh to myself. That said, right now, if you didn't know already,
I didn't know I said it.
It's the best time of year for bettors, and all the new Boomer Sportsbook is something you got to check out. They're bringing you all the action right now. Football, hockey, basketball, not booty. Use code VSIN250 when you sign up for a Boomer's mobile account. They'll match your first deposit. This is pretty cool. They'll match your first deposit up to $250 in bonus bets, plus minus 105 on all pro football spreads every single regular season game. Download the Boomer Sportsbook app today. You can learn more at betwithboomer.com. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions do apply. Bet responsibly. But again, minus 105 on all your spreads. Use the code VSIN250. You get that $250 bonus bet option. We've got to step aside here real quickly. When we come back, do you approve this move? And I am sorry that I made you blush.
Yeah, not a lot of times that a tan man can blush. Yeah, but I would implore everyone to go listen to Bubba Sparks and Mos Def then, and then you'll be able to sing along with the name of the wide receiver from the Patriots.
We are still, by the way, working on that Robert Saleh photo comp. It's going to happen. We'll be right back on Money Moves.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
If your small business is booming, you might say, cha-ching, but you should say,
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And we'll help your growing business. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Odds move up, odds move down. Let's see where the odds are moving today in Do You Approve This Move?
All right, let's get into it as we welcome you back here to Money Moves. Stormy Buonantony, Keith Irizarry with you. And let's start in Major League Baseball as we got a winner-take-all. Game 7 in the ALCS tonight. The Seattle Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays going head-to-head. Toronto goes from a minus 111 slight favorite in a pick'em game at open out to minus 133. Pennant on the line. Do you approve this move?
I do. I think it should be shifting towards the Blue Jays. I think they're clearly the favorite going into Game 7 on their home field. If you believe in momentum, and most sports people do, the momentum is shifting their way. And anytime you get to sing Justin Bieber songs because Shane Bieber is on, that ends up making it a lot more fun. You little baby, 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 whatever. Little Biebs.
That is always fun. Bieber and George Kirby going head-to-head. This was the same pitching matchup we saw in Game 3, which was a Toronto Blue Jays 13-4 dub. So we'll see if you ultimately are correct there. Let's go to the NFL because we're already seeing early line moves for this Week 8 slate. Start with the Jets and Bengals. Cincinnati was a 4.5-point favorite. We're out to as high as 6.5 right now. We talked a lot about the Jets last segment. Fell to 0-7 with that loss to the Panthers. Questions at quarterback and facing a Bengals team that with Joe Flacco, at least offensively, looks a little resurgent right now. You approve the move?
100%. I think this is going to end up at 7.5. Well, this will end up getting up to about 7.5. So if you're on the side of believing in the Bengals or not believing in the Jets, get in now because it's going to keep moving.
Coming off the bye as well, getting rested and getting bet. How about the Dolphins and Falcons, another team in Miami that is trending down? Atlanta, despite coming off the double-digit loss on Sunday Night Football to the Niners, getting bet up over a touchdown now from 5.5 to 7.5. And I think it's hard to blame anybody if you're fading Miami based on the dysfunction we've seen lately.
Yeah, and for our radio audience, we had the graphic up on our TV screens. There's a little @ right? That means it's being played in Atlanta. The Falcons' offense in Atlanta is basically unstoppable. Bijan Robinson is the best player in the world when they play on their home field. He is one of the better players when they play on the road. The Miami Dolphins are in flux. They are like it's a mess of an organization right now. We have no idea what's going to happen with this organization. This is at 7.5 now. I bet it gets up to about 8.5. Take Atlanta right now. The Falcons are going to blow out Miami. This might be like a 30-point win for Atlanta.
And speaking to your point on Bijan, I would continue to target him from a props perspective, specifically in the pass game. He has been getting fed 6 catches on 8 targets each of the last 2 games, had 50-plus yards receiving each of the last 3, including twice this season, by the way, that he's had 100-plus yards receiving. So he is they made the comp on the game last night against San Francisco. He is the Christian McCaffrey of the Atlanta Falcons, the way they utilize him. I wish that we had like a touches prop on him so that we could angle it that way, but Bijan Robinson is their gotta-do-it-all guy on offense, so continue to check that out. Broncos, Cowboys. Denver was a 5.5-point favorite, now down to just 3 because of the way the Cowboys are performing, particularly on offense. Has the defense maybe figured out a couple of tweaks? What do you think about this move for Cowboys-Broncos?
If we do the comparison thing, and I think sometimes it's a fun exercise. So who's the better QB, Dak Prescott or Jackson Dart? We would go Dak Prescott. Who's got the better wide receiver room, CD, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, and whomever you want to say in New York for the New York Giants? Who's got the better running back room? Javonte Williams is one of the 5 best running backs in the NFL statistically right now. Cam Scatterbo is a really solid, fun story. Right? So from an offensive standpoint, I don't understand why the Cowboys wouldn't be able to score kind of similar the way that the Giants were able to on the Denver Broncos. Now, on the defensive side of things, yes, the Giants' defense is better than Dallas, but I think you hit on something there. Dallas's defense looks better. Now, that doesn't mean they're like above average, great defense. I think they look like they're at least a serviceable defense. I might take Dallas in this one. I'll take them at +3.
Oh, okay. All right, Cowboys getting a field goal, getting played here early, and it took a mile-high miracle for Denver to pull off what they did with 33 points in the fourth quarter yesterday. That is not the norm. Bo Nix has not been great. I know that the Broncos are in the top spot in the AFC West right now, but I do not think it's real. I would say Cowboys team total would definitely be worth a look in this one as well. Let's hit one more in the NFL. The team that the Cowboys just beat 44-22, the Washington Commanders at the Chiefs. And this is a huge move from the look ahead where Kansas City was laying just 4.5. They're out to largely 10, but as high as 11.5 in the market. The Chiefs are rolling 31-0 shutout of the Raiders on Sunday. They've won 4 of their last 5 with all 4 wins by at least 13 points. And a Commanders team that's pretty beat up, including at quarterback, as we saw Jaden Daniels have to leave the game yesterday with a hamstring. He's already missed time this season with a knee. Well, she's still awaiting some reports on the severity of the hamstring right now, but a massive 6+ point move depending on the sportsbook here. Keith, do you think it's about right?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I feel bad for Commanders fans there that finally, last season looked like they had their organization back, and Jaden Daniels was bringing this team to an NFC championship game. And now even this year, like, you looked like you had some weapons around him. You had Deebo Samuel. This looks like the kind of season where they're going to go by the wayside. This move makes a lot of sense in line movement. I think if you're going to play anything, you play the Kansas City Chiefs team total, and you look at maybe an anytime touchdown for Rashee Rice. That's what I would look at.
All right, let's go to the NHL here for a few games. Wild and Rangers. Rangers getting bet up, actually, even from the time we made this graphic, from -120 to about -148 home favorites. The Rangers have yet to score a single goal at home, Keith, but the market thinks tonight is the night against a Wild team on a 3-game skid. Do you agree?
I do. I think the Rangers get about 3 or 4 goals tonight, so I think you could look at their team total prop if you want to do that. There are some players that I would look at as well. They're going to be in my best bets. Mika Zibanejad. So just a little look ahead for you, a little foreshadowing. I think the Rangers win this one, win it big. The Wild have struggled defensively. Their netminder, Gustafsson, has been bad this year. Let's go Rangers, take it, and a lot of the movement makes a lot of sense. So hopefully you got in when it was -120. If not, what did you say? It's -148 now?
Yep.
Nah, I'm out. I'm not doing that. -135 would have been I'm not doing that. We'll do some player props.
All right. The Sabres and Canadiens. Buffalo dropped their first 3 games of the season, had everybody asking if the year was over already. Then they beat Ottawa 8-4 and shut out the defending Cup champs 3-0 on Saturday. They're getting some buy-in tonight at Montreal. The Canadiens down from -165 favorites to around -140 right now.
Yeah, I was surprised about this movement. I don't really believe in Buffalo. Got to be honest with you. I think that I don't think it's going to pan out for them. I think Montreal is, a team that snuck into the playoffs last year, and again, akin to what I was talking about the Detroit Red Wings earlier in the program, the Montreal Canadiens, I think last year were a little bit ahead of schedule, and I think they'll continue to be a really solid team this year. They've got good goaltending as well. They've got good young players like Cole Caulfield and a veteran in Nick Suzuki. I believe in the Canadiens. So at -141, a little juicy for me. If this gets to -135, play it.
The 5-0 Carolina Hurricanes are visiting T-Mobile Arena and the VGK tonight. Vegas opened a -118 favorite. Slight move toward Carolina, but the big move was on the total, up from 5.5 goals to 6.5. I know the Canes are great defensively, but it is hard to imagine any Vegas totals being sub-6 right now. So I do think the market move makes sense. Worth noting here, though, Keith, we got news just a little bit ago coming out of morning skate here in Vegas. No Mark Stone for the Golden Knights, who is week to week with what is apparently, according to some reports, a wrist injury suffered against the Calgary Flames.
Avoiding this game like the plague. When you have an injury to a star player like that, you just don't know what you're going to get. I don't know, maybe Vegas comes out, flying high and score 7 goals, or maybe they're feeling bad that Mark Stone is out and he won't be traveling with them even on their next road trip, and he could be out for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they lay an egg. Total stay away game for me.
All right, I'm going to hit a few college football games, and you can just tell me if any of them stood out to you. BYU at Iowa State. Flip of favorites here. BYU off the Holy War win over Utah this weekend. Open a 1.5-point favorite. They're now a 3-point dog at Iowa State. Auburn and Arkansas, flip of favorites there as well. Arkansas was a -1.5 favorite. Now they're a 1.5-point dog. Iowa opened a 7-point favorite against Minnesota. They're out to 9 now, and SDSU from -1.5 to over that key number of 3 at 3.5. Any catch your eye?
Iowa moving like that is a little bit weird to me. You actually explained to me why did it flip Arkansas and Auburn? Confused me a little bit.
I think that the 1.5 number is kind of insignificant. It's just a slight lean for Auburn in the spot, and maybe what we saw from Arkansas last week not being totally real. I don't know. We'll see when it comes down to it. Good reminder, everybody, if you haven't checked out our Opta AI prop betting tool on VSiN yet, now is the time, especially we've got a Monday Night Football doubleheader coming up. Check your prop number and the AI projection versus what the books have. VSiN.com/props. And for the start of the NBA season, we've got NBA player prop projections that begin tomorrow. VSiN.com/props.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
A busy but exciting day for Seattle sports fans as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony and Keith Irizarry with you. The Seahawks off to a strong 4-2 start, hosting Monday Night Football tonight against the Texans. And then about 2 hours before kick, the Seattle Mariners will have first pitch in Toronto in a winner-take-all Game 7 spot in the World Series on the line. And to help us break down everything we've got going on tonight with Seattle sports, Gregg Bell joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Tacoma News, Tribune, Seahawks report. You can follow him on X at GBellSeattle. What has the buzz around the city been like for this ALCS run and a chance for Seattle to make a World Series for the first time in the organization's history?
Well, this is bigger than the Seahawks right now, obviously. I was in Seattle in 1995 for Edgar's double, 2001, the 2001 team that won 116 games each year as rookie season. When the Mariners are rolling this well, it has only happened 5 times in 48 years, then they're bigger than the Seahawks. They're bigger than when the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl. A lot of people don't like me saying that, but it's true. The Mariners, because they've never done it, as you said, this is so much more intense. I was in the yard covering for the News Tribune Friday nights, Game 5, when Eugenio Suarez hit the grand slam. And that might have been the second loudest sports moment I've ever been in, besides the Edgar double when I was at the top of the kingdom in 1995. The intensity of the passion for what they're trying to do outmatches anything, including the Seahawks' first Super Bowl, which I was here for and covering too. There's just more of an ingrained baseball fandom. Even some casual sports fans can glom onto baseball, I feel, a little bit better. And a lot of people in Seattle grew up with this. This team's been here since 1977. I know people who know the 1969 Seattle Pilots, who just spent 1 year out here before becoming the Milwaukee Brewers. There are generations of people that are wishing and hoping that they win Game 7 tonight to get to their first World Series. And there'll be many people, including myself, in the press box in Lumen Field tonight that'll be watching the Mariners, and most of the attention will be probably into the second quarter of the Seahawks game. Most of the attention in that building is going to be on the Mariners game.
Greg, I'm driving around this morning listening to Sirius XM, and there was a host on the air that was from the Seattle area, grew up a Seattle fan, and she said that this was the most anxious she has ever been that she can remember about sports just in general, knowing that the Mariners were trying to get into the World Series and the Seahawks are going to play tonight as well. Is that a good word for the fan base right now, anxious?
Yeah, anxious, nervous, fatalistic. I mean, last night it was, of course, they're going to get boat raced. They never do anything easy. Of course, they're going to come back from Toronto. I covered the first 2 games in Toronto. Of course, they're going to come back and get absolutely annihilated in 2 games by Toronto in home games when they had 2 away wins from the World Series. Nothing's easy that the Mariners do. So, yes, anxious, fatalistic, all of it is a Mariner fandom. And that often happens inside of one game. And magnify that on top of what's at stake. Yeah, it's a unique day here in Seattle, to say the least. And there aren't many days in the last quarter century that the Seahawks take a back seat to the Mariners than they have for pretty much the last month. They pulled me off the Seahawks beat. I went from Jacksonville to Toronto to cover Game 2 after the Seahawks played the Jaguars. Now they've moved me back off of Toronto to go to the Seahawks home game tonight. And if the Mariners win, I'll be in Dodger Stadium on Friday and Saturday for Game 1 and 2 of the Mariners. It is a very unique. A lot of times I can hear New York and Boston people back east going, "We get this all the time. This is called October for New Yorkers." This doesn't happen. This just does not happen in Seattle.
Oh, that's fantastic. Gregg Bell, Tacoma News Tribune, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. And listen, Toronto is a favorite today, minus 130, the price for our purposes as a betting network. But if we've seen anything, as you referenced, home field hasn't really mattered in this series that way. In terms of the pitching matchup, Shane Bieber on one side, George Kirby going for Seattle. And he did give up 8 runs in that Game 3. He gets the ball again today. What should we expect from George Kirby in your eyes?
Well, I do know they're going to have a quick hook on him. if he gives up multiple runs, more than one, here comes Luis Castillo. Here comes Brian Wu. Here comes Bryce Miller. It's, of course, an all-hands-on-deck situation, but I personally would have started Luis Castillo over Kirby tonight, but Kirby's on his normal turn. This is his fifth day after 4 days of rest. But you mentioned he gave up 8 runs. I covered that game, too. They were non-competitive. He left a lot of his secondary pitches, his spinning pitches over the strike zone, as has Logan Gilbert and did against last night. You cannot do that against Vlad Guerrero and the guys. I would also think I'd walk Vlad Guerrero every time he comes up, maybe even with the bases loaded, so he doesn't give you 2 or 3 or 4 runs with one swing of the bat. But I would expect Luis Castillo, no one's talking about this, but I think Luis Castillo is going to play a big role in this game. I thought they brought him out a little early in Game 4 when he pitched. He was only 2 1/3. First sign of trouble, down 2-1, they took him out. And then Gabe Spire instantly gave up 3 runs. And I don't think that because it's all hands on deck, I think the Mariners starters who arrested Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu coming off the injury who pitched the other night, Game 5, for the first time out of the bullpen. You're going to see them in the middle inning spots that you had been seeing Gabe Spire and Matt Brash earlier in this series. I get it why Toronto's favored. Of course they are. And at home, but you mentioned Stormy at home. All time in the ALCS, Game 7s, 30-29 is the record for home teams. And 7 of the last 8 Game 7s in the ALCS, the home teams lost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big number. I saw that. I also, Greg, I love that you mentioned Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because hour 1, we were talking about Vladdy, and I said I would walk him all the time as well, so I'm glad you're on board with that. From a hitting standpoint for Seattle, is there a batter right now that you like the matchup against Shane Bieber potentially to have a big hit early in this one and kind of blow things open for Seattle?
Josh Naylor. He's the only guy right now in that lineup who doesn't try to hit the ball across the Canadian border every time he's up. The Mariners, when they are bad, and offensively they have deserts, and it's because they try to swing for home runs. They're not situational hitters. They don't go up the middle to the opposite field. By and large, you can trace all of their offensive struggles to they try to hit 5-run homers with no one on base when they fall behind. That has, in a nutshell, been their problem for a couple years. When they got Naylor at the trade deadline this year, a lot of that in one guy got alleviated. He's a really professional hitter. You saw a couple hits last night to the opposite field, just line drives. And he has the power that when he does get a mistake pitch, he will pull it and hit a home run for it. He runs. He has 30 stolen bases for a guy that large. He's a really heady, smart player who isn't out there to just yank the ball and pull it every time. Bieber's going to stay away. He's going to go in, kind of bust him inside of the fastball, away, like he did in Seattle in his last start when he dominated him. And because the Mariners are trying to pull him, that worked right into what Bieber's trying to do. Josh Naylor's the one guy in the lineup that if, okay, you want to sit away on your soft stuff, I'll just serve it into right center field or opposite field for a base hit. I'm okay with that, even though I'm batting 5th. The Mariners need like 4 more of those guys so they can populate the bases instead of dudes trying to do beer league softball swings a lot. If they wake up to that fact, if Josh Naylor can have an influence on the lineup, they can actually do something with runners on base.
Total in this game, by the way, sitting 7.5. Again, Toronto, your -130 favorite. Seattle +107. And I know you're going to be busy covering the game in Toronto, but you're still keeping tabs on your usual beat with the Seahawks as well. They're a 3-point favorite against the Texans today. Anything from an injury standpoint that really stands out to you or this matchup as a whole going into Monday night?
Well, C.J. Stroud and the Texans, Stormy, are looking at the Seahawks secondary because every opponent they played the last month has been looking at the fact that Devin Witherspoon, who I think is the Seahawks' best player, has been injured. He's only played in 2 of the first 6 games. He's questionable tonight. He didn't practice fully this week at all. He still hasn't practiced fully since he injured his knee in week 1. He is questionable, and Julian Love, the Pro Bowl safety, is questionable. Love looked better in practice when I stopped in on Thursday to see him. He was starting at the beginning of practice and looked like his hamstring was better than it has been in the last 2 games that he's missed, of course. I think Love, the question was going to play. I don't know if Witherspoon's going to so they can have next week's bye week, another week for Witherspoon to rest, to hopefully he could string some games together on health. But when they aren't in there, it's Ty Okada and at safety. It's a mismatch of corners that they've been trying to use, Darian Kendrick. Rick Woolen was in there getting picked on, and then he got a concussion. Rick Woolen is going to play tonight, but the first time in a couple weeks because of that concussion. But they've given up a lot of yards, 375 yards to Baker Mayfield, who I know is shredding a lot of teams right now. They were 200-plus against Trevor Lawrence and would have had more, but the defensive line awoke for 7 sacks. If I'm Houston, I'm attacking that secondary down the field, and it's really on the Seahawks front to get some pressure so that Stroud doesn't have time to throw the ball deep into a weakened secondary.
Greg, awesome stuff. We so appreciate your time. Enjoy the game tonight. Fun time for
Thanks,
Seattle sports, that's for sure.
It is. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Greg Bell. Again, follow him on X at GBellSeattle. Great breakdown there on both games that we have coming up tonight. We're going to step aside. We'll give you our final thoughts as well on what's to come this evening and best bets. Our guy Keith has a handful of NHL plays you need to know. Puck around and find out, one might say, on the program. We'll be right back.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Let's say your small business has a problem, like maybe one of your doggy daycare customers had an accident. You might say something like,
"Doggone it!
Hi, Chihuahua!"
Holy schnauzers.
But if you need someone who can actually help, just say,
"Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there."
And get help filing a claim from your local State Farm agent. For your small business insurance needs, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, it's time for Best Bets as we welcome you back to this final segment of Money Moves. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Stormy Buonantony, Keith Irizarry with you back here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And we have a handful of Best Bets we have to get here, Keith. And before we look forward, let's look back briefly. The Best Bets recap from the weekend. I went 4-2, so not bad. The teasers all came through for us, although maybe I just need to start doing parlays because the Patriots spread, Colts winning as a dog, Giants spread, like all of these things would have just come together for us. But we had the Colts and Patriots paired up in a teaser, the Giants and Patriots as well. Aaron Rodgers on Thursday night, and that's only in here because I wasn't here on Friday. With the way that game shook out, still stunned at that performance from the Steelers defense. Neither here nor there. Texas Tech was just ugly, and I was wrong, and Sam Leavitt doesn't look injured at all, which isn't annoying at all. So the Texas Tech ones where I was believing in them being able to cover in the first quarter and first half against ASU. No, the Sun Devils end up getting the outright upset win and just makes the Big 12 even weirder, which we'll talk plenty more college football throughout the week. Did get there on the Ole Miss first half, though. Actually had a first half lead against Georgia before falling back in the second half. So let's push it forward, see if we can continue to cash some tickets as we go. And Keith, I actually want to start with you because last week when we had you on the show, you crushed it, especially with the hockey plays. So let's dive right in. There's 5 games in hockey today, and I know you've got a handful of best bets to get to.
Yeah, first and foremost, kudos to you. Up almost 15 units on the season. Love to see it. All right, so for me, let's start with the Rangers. I'm going to go, and I talked about it a little bit earlier in the program. I think the Rangers are going to go off tonight. I think there's going to be lots of goals scored. I think you look at the team total if you want. I understand the bagel that they've had in New York. I hope that you understand what I did there. The 0 plus also New York is great with bagels. Mika Zibanejad, anytime goal. 2-1 odds. The best place I found it on was BetMGM. So 2 goals on the season. That's not great, but he's been very active. Leads the team with 27 shots, right? Also facing a wild netminder in Gustafsson that has allowed at least 3 goals in each of his last 3 starts, saving less than 90% of shots that he has faced. no bueno. Spurgeon and Middleton, defensively, that deep pair is probably going to match up often with the top line for the Rangers, which is Zibanejad. I think Mika finds the back of the net. I think there are other ways you can look in this one if you wanted to. That's my favorite bet of the night.
Keep it rolling. Just cruise through everything else that you have here in hockey. I have a couple hockey plays as well, but they're in a game you're staying off of, so.
Okay. All right. So then I'll give you my other two hockey plays. I'm going to go over to Kyle Connor. Going to get an assist on this one. -120 again. Best book I found was BetMGM. He has at least one assist in 4 consecutive games. He's on the line with Mark Scheifele, and they've combined been super, super active. They combined for 29 shots through 5 games. Dustin Wolf for Calgary, 4.21 goals per game. He has been lackluster, to say the least. Maybe he'll turn it around, but I don't think it's going to be this evening. Hasn't had a game in which he has given up less than 3 goals. So we're going to get Connor to get a helper tonight. Cole Caulfield, listen, this one, if I was going to rank my order, it would be Mika, Connor, and Cole Caulfield. I like this one a lot, but everybody out there, what I'll tell you is if you only want to pick 2 of my bets, take the first 2. This would be the one that would be just a maybe. Anytime goal, I think he's going to score, but +140 was the best odds I could find. I don't fall in love with +140 for an anytime goal. 5 goals in the last 4 games, and he has at least 1 point in every single home game the Canadians have played dating back to last season. Over the last 8 times he's played on home ice, he'll find a way to score. Anytime goal is a really good play. I wanted it at 2-1. I found it at +140. It stayed around +140. So what I'm telling you is, if you have some expendable cash and you want to be in on the Canadians, that's a play for you.
Also worth noting in that game, because I think I failed to mention it earlier, no Montembeault in net for the Canadians tonight. It is Jakob Dobish. Won both of his starts, by the way, giving up just 1 goal in regulation in each. The Canadians at home -148 favorites for the full game against the Buffalo Sabres. High total in that one as well, 6.5. And I'm looking to another high total game tonight in the Vegas Golden Knights and Carolina Hurricanes. No play on the side or total for me ultimately, but a couple prop and game angles to dive into. Jonathan Davis and I, our VSiN NHL betting expert here at the network, were texting this morning about the first period overs theme for Vegas. Historically, I thought this was funny. He's going back to October of the last 2 seasons, which I know can be like a little bit of an odd stat, but I did find it interesting. 14-3 overall, 9-1 at home for the first period over. I was looking through just this season. We've seen 2+ goals scored in the first period of 5 of the 6 Vegas games so far this season. The Canes are more of an under team by nature because of how they play defensively, but they're also such a capable scoring team. 4+ Canes goals in every game this season. So I like the angle of doing it early, especially with one of the best defensive forwards in the league unavailable as well for Vegas. Mark Stone, who's going to be week to week. We mentioned that earlier. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone have been stars for this Vegas Golden Knights team. And Eichel is somebody, especially now knowing that Stone is out, kind of like this angle for the shots on goal for Eichel even more. The over 2.5 is juiced to high heaven, but I like laddering this up to get the 4+ shots, maybe even 5+ shots on goal for Jack Eichel today. My best bets are just the over 2.5 and the 4+. The 4+ at +140. He's had at least 3 shots on goal every game this season. Last 3 games, 3, 9, and 7 shots on goal respectively. And in a game I think is going to be closely contested, a guy that I think is going to be needed to be relied on to fire shots on net is going to be Jack Eichel on that top line. So rolling that way. And then I have one Monday Night Football play. And Keith, we are like-minded on this one. We mentioned it in hour 1 of the program when we were talking through some of the prop betting angles in this Bucs-Lions game. Baker Mayfield over 246 pass yards for me. I know you got 240, which I am jealous of, but I think we're going to get 250 plus regardless. So if it's anything under 250, I'm firing on over for Baker Mayfield. You said it. 5 of the Lions' 6 opponent at quarterback have all gone over this number. Joe Flacco, the only one who didn't when he was with the Browns. cluster injury situation for the Lions in that defensive backfield. Brian Branch, out, suspension. Kirby Joseph, out. Terrion Arnold, out, on top of the other 6 DBs that are either out or on injured reserve. And even with the questions that are in the Bucs wide receiver room right now, Baker Mayfield has proven that he can get the ball out to just about anyone. With Bucky Irving also unavailable, I don't think that you're going to try to rely on Rachaad White to run the rock that much. He's just not that full load type of a player. He can be used in the backfield as a pass catching option as well. I think we get volume, especially in what could potentially be a negative game script for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers late in this game. He's going to continue to be passing.
So I love a lot of what you did there, and there was a lot to digest. First and foremost, yeah, Baker Mayfield, I'm with you. I love math. I'm a nerd. So when you did the Eichel ladder, I immediately was like, all right, let's see how we can make this work. Let's assume that you are correct, and I think I'm with you on him getting at least 3 shots on goal. So let's make it. We're going to go 25, 10. We're going to go $40 bet, okay? We're going to do 40 total dollars. You're going to do $25 on him to get 3 shots. That nets you almost $15, okay? You're going to do, so you get money. Now your wager of $10 on the 4 shots on goal gets you about 15, and your $5 on 5 or more shots gets you almost 17. So as long as you hit the first part, if you get the 3 shots on goal, you will not lose money. You'll end up a couple of bucks up. If you hit the second one, if you get the 4 shots on goal, now you're talking about you're walking away. You're gonna lose $5 of your 40. You're gonna make 35. You're gonna end up about $37 up. It's small money. I just tried to make it easy, the easiest math I could find. Obviously, a $100 bet might be easier, but you would have to, that's a little bit more math for me to pull off in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, anchor it down, depending on your unit. Everybody do your own units, what you feel most comfortable with. But I really do like the ladder angle for Eichel today. Anything else, maybe not best bets, but that you want to get out of your system real quickly before ALCS or anything else you're looking at?
No, you said there was a tweet that you wanted to say something to me about.
It's, we're running low on time now.
We don't have time?
Clay Travis tweeted about modern-day showers becoming needlessly overcomplicated to turn on while simultaneously failing to do their actual job. And I just think that's so real. Why are we getting so out of hand with showers right now? They're so hard to figure out the tools, and I travel a lot, as do you. Some of these hotel showers, I stand there for 10 minutes just trying to figure out how to turn the thing on. Yeah, sometimes you just long for the hose. It's just, I can't handle you. Oh, I never got the picture of Robert Saleh to our producer, Justin, today. Shoot, I forgot. I pulled it up on my computer.
Guess we'll have to do it another time.
Another time. You gotta come back with us. You gotta. Okay, that's a wrap today, Keith. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for this. Hopefully we cash some tickets again. We gotta step aside. Follow the money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard coming up next for the next 3 hours right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
My dog Max loves chewing on my favorite pair of shoes, almost as much as he loves his Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula dry dog food. Seriously, he never leaves a crumb. And I love it too, because it's made with high-quality protein, antioxidant-packed fruits, and nutrient-rich veggies. Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
If your small business is booming and ready to expand, you might say something like,
"It's happening! Booyah! Yeah!
Crushed it."
But if you need someone who can actually help protect your growing business, just say,
"Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there."
And just like that, your State Farm agent can help you get the coverage you need for your new space. For your small business insurance needs, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.